George Michaelowski with Pittsburgh Sports Now.
And I'm Jamarius Burton. Welcome to the Just Buckets podcast.
Hi, I'm Pete Strobel, president of the Scoring Factory. Here, we make you better. Here's where you work on your weaknesses. This is the place you come to work on the fundamentals that are going to take you to the next level. We love to push players. We love to teach players. We've worked with a lot of very talented players, and we want your son or daughter to come in next.
I am Jamarius Burton, and here at the Scoring Factory in Pittsburgh, PA, you can get better. Here we focus on player development, skill, and overall getting better is done here. Details are not missed with Pete Strobel and the Scoring Factory.
Welcome back to the Just Buckets podcast. This is episode 5. I am Jamarius Burton.
And I'm George Michaelowski with Pittsburgh Sports Now today. Jamarius and I have a very special announcement. You obviously can see we're in a different environment for this episode of Just Buckets. And, we'd like to thank the Oaklander Hotel in Pittsburgh for, sponsoring the show, the official sponsor of Just Buckets podcast. They provided tremendous hospitality for us. It's an elite hotel right here in Oakland. So if you're coming out for a Pitt game, if you're coming out to Pittsburgh to visit family, to visit friends, anything, you got to stay at the Oaklander. This place is elite. JB, what do you think?
He said it. The Oaklander has been, tremendous for us. The hospitality, the tremendous setup, the luxurious cuisine, the bar, the setup. It's just been a great experience here at the Oaklander Hotel. We couldn't thank you enough.
Thank you to the Oaklander for sponsoring the show, and let's get right into it. Tonight, JB and I are going to be, breaking down the recent games that Pitt's had. Obviously a big 5-game winning streak for you guys. Loss at Vanderbilt, but we're going to get into that. We want to go through, all these big wins. I was at the Northwestern game in Chicago, my hometown, so I want to start there. That game was almost a 30-point win. You guys were up by more than 30 at times. Take me through the feelings, the emotions of a big win like that on the road for a team like you guys that was, on a roll but struggled early in the season.
Yeah, that was a big win for us. The energy was different. We were hungry. We wanted our first road win. That was the first Power 5 school that we played against. It was a challenge, Big Ten challenge versus ACC. So, we wanted to do our part in the challenge, get a win for the ACC. So it was a big game for us. The energy was there, and, it was just a lot of good vibes and a lot of good basketball down there in Chicago.
The 3-point line was a huge story for this team in that game, and really all year. We've talked about it on this podcast before.
Mm-hmm.
You've said time and time again, like, this team can shoot. This team can shoot from outside. It's just going to come to the surface eventually.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do it in practice. You've shown it in some games, but that game was a clinic from beyond the arc.
Yeah, it was a clinic.
14 of 22, I think you guys went.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. Once those started falling, what was that feeling like, seeing pretty much most of your threes go in, pretty much all of them going in?
I would say it was amazing. The 3-ball has definitely, changed the game. And, now it's a little bit different. A guy can get a dunk, the crowd will stand up, but it's something special about that 3-ball. And for us, that night, the 3-ball was going down, the ball was moving pretty well. The ball had no eyes. And, we got snipers, and when we're executing our sets, when we're moving with pace, when we're moving the basketball, as you've seen, we got guys that can knock it down.
One play in particular from that Northwestern game, I think it was in the second half when the lead was already pretty big for you guys. You're playing comfortably. You guys were, knocking shots down. But one play in particular, I remember you were, driving baseline. You threw a skip pass to Blake, I believe, for a 3, on the wing. When you see Blake, because it seems like he'll pull up from just about
anywhere. Yeah.
When you see Blake out there for a 3, how confident are you that it's going in?
I mean, I'm confident in all my guys, really, but when we're talking about Blake in particular, I know the type of talent that he possesses, the type of shooting arsenal that he has, the type of threat that he is out there on the 3-point line. So whenever I can get the ball to him, when he's in rhythm, when he's open, I feel pretty good. For the most part, I can put three fingers in the air and count it, as an assist in my book.
There you go. So, Northwestern, a big win. I want to get on to the NC State game. First conference game of the year sprinkled in between these non-conference games. You guys go into Raleigh, get another big win, 68-60, I think. But career night for you, 24 points, career high. Take me through that game for you. How are you feeling on the court?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I felt pretty good on the court. That was our first time playing in an ACC matchup. I had a familiarity with that ball club. We played them last year, although, the roster is a little bit different. I felt comfortable, knowing, the type of defenses that I was going to see. We did our homework as far as scouting reports, so I kind of was able to see, the way they was going to be not only guarding me, but guarding, a lot of my teammates. So for me, I was just making reads out there. I didn't have anything predetermined or anything like that. I was just, making reads, and I was able to create a rhythm out there.
So you're a North Carolina kid, obviously the Charlotte area. Did you have any family that came to that game that was in attendance?
Yeah. First off, I want to give a big shout out to my sister Destiny. It was her birthday, December 2nd.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah, and it was just an awesome, experience, for her to come out on her birthday. A lot of people, they don't have to go out to their little brother's game on their birthday. They could spend it, at else places, doing other things. So for me, it was very special, to have her in attendance, on her birthday, along with, my nieces and my family. My mom and dad was there. My aunt was there. One of my high school friends, Carrie, was there. I just give a big shout out to my support system. My cousin Tat, Katoria, the whole family came down. They made that drive from Charlotte, North Carolina, and it meant a lot, for us to, not only be there, because there was other programs I, may not have had the opportunity to play in front of 14, 15 family members,
right. The ACC runs through that
Yeah,
state.
exactly.
That's
So
big.
it's a blessing to be able to play in front of, a big group of my family. And, I don't take opportunities like that for granted at all.
So I actually got a fan submission for a question for this podcast, and it's kind of revolving around that. Shout out to the Jedi Eric for submitting this question on Twitter to me. He wanted to ask you, do you think playing in front of your family, do you think that gives you an extra edge? Because he's noticed NC State, obviously a career game for you last season as well. When you played in North Carolina, you tended to have big games. So does that make you more comfortable out on the court? How do you feel when you're playing in front of all them?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, at times I forget that they're there. So, I mean, I'm kind of locked into the game, but a part of me still knows that they're there.
Right.
So for me, I just want to put, my best effort forward each and every night. And, for me, it's definitely, big when you can do well in front of your family. They've been my support system since the beginning. After each and every game, I call them. We share insights. I get words of encouragement, things to do better, accountability, and the games that they're able to come is special. And I get to talk to them immediately after. I don't have to call and be on the phone for a couple hours after the game. I can actually, see my mom, hug my mom, get those insights directly after the game. So it's definitely, a good feeling and, a good opportunity, to have them there.
Hey, what do you recommend on the menu?
That's the Top Gunner.
I'll take the Top Gunner. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That's great. So then you guys, hit the road again, out to Nashville, played Vanderbilt. It was a tough game. Obviously, I don't think Pitt fans would really say that you guys played, your strongest, most sound ball in the first half. I know it was
Yeah.
really turnover filled, but guys like yourself, Greg, John had a couple of buckets in that first half. Nelly played well. So you guys stuck around. And then in the second half, tell me about what happened in that half, how you guys stuck around, how you guys made this a battle.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I would like to tip my hat off to Vanderbilt. A pretty good team. They definitely made us uncomfortable at times, and they made us pay. For our deficiencies, for our errors. They got 20 more shot attempts than us.
They have 60, 70 shots or something?
They had 70 to our 50.
Yeah.
We shot a great percentage from the field, but like you said, when you're turning it over, when you're not getting the rebounds, it definitely tips in the other team's favor. And, that's something that we can control. So for us, it was very disheartening, that we lost the game, by things that we could control. So that's definitely a learning lesson for us, to understand that, if we're going to lose, we're not going to lose by Pitt beating us. You know what I'm saying? So for us, that's the biggest thing moving forward is taking what we can learn from this game, and carry it over to the point where we're not beating us. If we lose, it's because the other team was better than us on that given night. They shot lights out. You know what I'm saying? But because at the end of the day, we did shoot a higher, percentage than them,
Right.
but again, we lost the rebound in battle. We turned the ball over more than we have in games prior. And in return, they made us pay for that.
There's a guy, Nelly Cummings, obviously, who struggled a bit to get going, shooting the ball in the early season, has kind of found his rhythm, and he had a big shot yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously, in that game against Vanderbilt,
Mhm.
15 points, I think he had, or maybe 18.
I think might have been 18.
Yeah, I think he had 18, hit a shot with 15 seconds left. What's your confidence in Nelly like at this point? Because, you've been the guy over the past year or two to have the ball in your hands in the end of the game, but Nelly really stepped up with that jumper. What is it like when you see him with the ball in a late game situation? What's it feel like to have another guy that can do that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love it. For him, I feel like he's developing his rhythm. He's getting more comfortable with what we're trying to do, where he can get his shot set on the floor. It's a complete different system that he's in comparison to Colgate. He's got a different set of tools around him than the years prior. So it definitely takes some time to, get accustomed to, not only your role on the team, but, the tools that you have around you. So I feel like, he's just developing his rhythm out there on the floor. And for me, I just love having him on the floor. He's agent zero. He pressed that button last game. He activated it, and he showed up, for us in big moments. That was a big shot for us. Unfortunately, the game didn't, end how we wanted it to end, because I would have loved for us to win, with him hitting that game winner. I feel like that would have been big for him and big for our team. But at the end of the day, there's things that we could take from the game, to help propel us forward.
One of the big moments in the game that I think a lot of fans loved when it happened was involving you. You were on the ground beneath the basket, and you shot the ball from your back.
Yeah.
And I believe there were a few seconds left in the shot clock, so high IQ play. You got fouled.
Yeah.
Take me through that play. What was going through your mind? Was it thought out, or was that just a spur of the moment thing?
Listen, the game was on the line. For me, I'm trying to make any play I can, and I seen the ball was short on the release. I think when Blake shot it, the guy might have affected it to some way to the point where it was an air ball. So I was able to see that, and I knew it was going to be a war on the ground. So I felt like if I can get to the ground and get the ball, that I had a great chance. And the way that everybody dove on the ground, I knew that if I was the first to the floor, like coaches preach, first to the floor, that I'd be able to not only get it, but have a chance to either kick it out to a teammate. But once, I realized, the situation that I was in, being on the ground, and how, the war on the floor was, I was the first to the floor, and, guys were holding me. That's when I knew it was opportunity to just shoot it. Because at the end of the day, they got to call a foul because I'm getting fouled, and it's in the act of shooting.
Right.
Now, I do feel bad, I take personal accountability for this, because after I did that, I went up there to the line and clanked the first free throw. So that's obviously been something I'm trying to, fix. And that's nothing but hard work. So just getting back into the gym as far as my free throws, I feel better about that. But as far as that play, it was definitely a high IQ play.
Yeah, I mean, last year you were one of the top free throw shooters in the
Mhm.
ACC. Obviously, a big strength. When you have a guy on your team that can go up there in late game stages like that
Yeah.
and hit free throws. So, going to be important throughout the rest of the season. I want to get into a quick preview of what's coming next. So, obviously, these games against Sacred Heart, North Florida, but then conference comes to town. So, first conference game aside from that NC State win
Mhm.
at Syracuse.
Mhm.
What's it like to be in the Carrier Dome? I think it has a new name now, but Syracuse home court. What's it like to play there? What have you heard about it? What have you observed?
Yeah. Last year was my first time playing there.
Mm.
It was an amazing experience, to see the mystique of Syracuse. I seen them playing March Madness growing up, in North Carolina, watching them on the TV in the living room, but I never been there, and the unique part about, their arena is that it's in a football dome.
Right.
So it's way bigger than any basketball gym that I've ever been in. The ceilings are higher.
Right.
It's just a different type of feel, but I love it, So I definitely like the atmosphere down there. And I just look forward to not only playing Syracuse, but, playing Sacred Heart, like you mentioned, playing North Florida, and just getting our rhythm back, getting our groove back, getting back to playing, the basketball that I know we are capable of playing.
When it comes to stadiums that you've played in, is there one that sticks out to you as your favorite to play in on the road?
Mm-hmm.
That you've visited and either played really well in, had great visibility, great depth.
Mm-hmm.
Carrier Dome's obviously a tough place to play because there's so much room. Things echo. Is there a favorite court you've played at?
You want to know which do you want to know conference? Do you want to
Anyone, any team, any conference?
I'll stick to the ACC.
Yeah.
I would say North Carolina, and I say that only.
Is that because you were at home?
I would say that because it starts from high school. I won my state championship there on that floor, and then we won last year on that floor. So, for me, it's the mystique of North Carolina. Obviously, the colors, the banners. It being close to home again. I like that arena. Besides my home here.
Hey guys, Jamarius here. I am going to be eating all of my favorite meals at Dirty Bird's Chicken in Pittsburgh. Check out Dirty Bird's for the most authentic home-cooked meals, including their specialty chicken and waffles. Dirty Bird's offers takeouts and delivery options. Cater your next event with Dirty Bird's Chicken.
North Carolina's coming to town, obviously, to play Pitt, December 30th at noon. It was just announced a few days ago, so another big game there. They were preseason number 1 in the country. I think they've dropped out of the rankings, but obviously another strong ACC team. One of the most talented teams in the country. Caleb Love, RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, loaded. So that's all we got. I want to wrap this up with one more question. Obviously, we want to thank all of our sponsors, the Scoring Factory, Gussy's, and of course, Roots. So for today's Fueled by Roots segment, I want to ask you something that a lot of Pitt fans have been talking about lately is the post-game music after these away victories.
Yeah.
I've seen the caption roadkill sometimes with some of the guys. So what has fueled you guys in the locker room, these past few road games, these big wins that you guys have picked up?
Yeah, I would say Chief Keef has definitely fueled us. I haven't listened to him in a while. He was a big artist, growing up in middle school for me growing up. But we've tapped back into him. He's given us that pregame energy that we've needed, and we're gonna need him again on Saturday.
There you go. There you have it. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Just Buckets. I'm George Michalowski, and for Jamarius Burton and Pittsburgh Sports Now, that's all we got. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming on.